It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, the 20th of May 2026. You're welcome to this morning's edition of AM120. I am Oluwafunbi Bello saying good morning. And yes, we take you through the dailies before taking our weather reports and going straight to our interview segment. And this morning, I will be starting with the Nigerian Tribune. On the front page, we have a story on page 2. It says, no terrorist base in Southwest. And that's coming from Defense Headquarters. And the rider says, intensifies search for abducted pupils in Oyo. IGP deploys more detectives in community. Traditional rulers in Ogbomoso land demand military base. 6 suspects in police net. Atiku demands rescue of victims. NLC PFN condemn attacks. And that's all we have on that particular story. Moving on to page 16, EFCC arrests convicted ex-power minister Saleh Maman in Kaduna. And on page 6, relief to airline operators as Dangote refinery reduces jet fuel price to 1,650 naira. And on the back page, we have Arsenal wins English Premier League after 22 years. That's a sports story. And moving on to page 4, Turaki-led PDP declares Jonathan sole presidential candidate, grants him screening waiver. NCAA issues Ebola alerts, directs enhanced surveillance at airports. And that story is on page 13. Nigeria must not fall, Gowon tells Tinubu, other politicians. The rider says, President IBB Jonathan, others hail Gowon as at autobiography launch. And that story is on page 3. And the last story on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning, we have a story on page 27. Learning languages may keep the brain young. And that's according to a study, taking some of the inside stories, starting with page 3. We have, my people told Tinubu I plan to kill him, and that's coming from the vice president. That story is on page 3. 2027, NDC screens OB for presidency. APC National Assembly appeal to committee receives 5 petitions over Delta primaries. Don't take my silence for fear, Governor Yusuf wants Kokonso. And on business and economy, Nigeria's oil and gas industry witnessing stronger investor confidence. Others, and that's coming from Oge. Refinery listing will democratize Africa's industrial prosperity. And that's coming from Dangote. South African investors eye investment opportunities. And those stories are on page 5. And moving on to page 16 and 17. Ekiti 2026. NLC, ASOS adopt Oyebanji as preferred candidate. Oyebanji reveals reasons for zero strike in 3 years. EFCC arrests convicted ex-power minister, Maman. NACT Sector Skill Council developed training manual on CNG EV operations. And on the same page, we have NSA, ICPC chair confirm El Rufai's open confession in media interview. And that's according to a witness. And on page 23, Kwara governor names Seriki as preferred successor. APC primaries, crisis deepens in Ondo as aspirants reject results. Says no election held in Owo. Ose. APC primary, Ekiti reps, aspirants petitions Tinubu, laments alleged marginalization of women. And that's all we have on that particular page. Talking of Entrepreneurship Digest, from party vendors to global moguls, how Nigeria's passion for celebration created a recession-proof business boom. And that story is on page 24. Moving to the back page where we have some sports stories. On page 30, we have Saka's grandmother at Emirates to watch Burnley clash. FC Porto's no permanent deal for Murphy. AFCON 2027. Eagles draw Tanzania. Madagascar. Galatasaray's stint is unique in my career, and that's coming from Osimhen. Okonkwo reveals dreams with Eagles. Indeed, can 8 BCOS win Super League next season? And that's coming from Shoromu. And lastly, we have Arsenal, our EPL champions. All right, that's all we have on the front. Talking of Nigerian Tribune, actually, and the paper this morning. Vito, over to you.
Well, we're right here, and of course, we've got stories from the Guardian newspaper. Well, Arsenal ending 23-year wait for 14th Premier League. I don't know. Congratulations to the Gunners fans, actually.
Congratulations to the Gunners.
They waited.
It was a long wait.
Almost a whole generation.
Yeah.
But congratulations to them out there, and kudos to the team for doing greatly over the course of the season.
It was like a sigh of relief for Arsenal fans last night.
You know, it was almost like, so this thing will happen in my lifetime. You know, it was good though.
It was.
All right, let's touch on the stories on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. On page 3, interesting stories. 2027 PDP awards Jonathan automatic presidential ticket. We also have Tinubu, Jonathan, Ale, go once, no victor, no vanquish, legacy, and others. We have federal government worries over 15 million out of school children. Now to what we have on page 4. Dambazao says non-state actors in Sahel possess 14 million firearms. Ebola, WHO raises the alarm as death toll hits 131. EFCC arrests convicted ex-power minister after 75-year jail sentence. And of course, we have this one, Nigeria-US operations kill 175 Boko Haram and ISIS fighters. Now to page 2. We have the story about Arsenal ending the 22-year wait for 14th English Premier League title. On page 6, APC crisis deepening as aspirants challenge consensus and governors' choices. On that same page 6, we have Oyo attack, abductions, heightening regional security agitations. And yes, on page 28, we have the story, key stakeholders back Seriki as Abdul Razak's preferred successor. Right, let's flip to what we have on the inside pages of the Guardian newspaper this morning. On Panorama, on page 2, we have NCAA tightens health surveillance at airports over Ebola outbreak. And of course, that's our story. It's quite interesting. We also have this one, ADC appoints Imoke presidential primaries chairman. Atiku engaging ADC leaders and members over presidential ambition, says his aide. Amechi says, I didn't buy form to be running mates. And of course, that's one story you'll find on page 3. Now, flipping over to what we have on page 4, local content rises to 61% in 15 years as NCDMB rallies investors. On page 5, NLC targets defaulters over unremitted pension deductions. And we have this one. Anglicans crave stronger action against insecurity and corruption, amongst others. Okay, AKT 2026, NLC, ASUS adopt Oyebanji as preferred candidates as governor reviews reasons for zero strike in 3 years. We have this one, Lagos State government recommits to data-driven governance to accelerate SDGs. Okay, moving to what we have on page 7. ONSA seeks better transport safety coordination as federal government moves NSIB to presidency. APC National Assembly Appeal Committee receives 5 petitions over Delta primaries. That's interesting. Badijo urges lawyers to step up fight against corruption. 2 APC aspirants reject Cross River Central primary results as EWA secures tickets. Now to Metro section on page 8. Nigerian extradited to US over alleged romance, fraud, and money laundering. Police kill Ogun kidnap kingpin, recover mobile phones, 2 million naira cash, and AK-47 rifle. A man seeks justice after neighbors' machete attack in Lagos. Police busts motorcycle snatching syndicates, recover stolen items in Yobe. And we have this one. Lagos prosecutes 859 traffic offenders. On page 9, police kill kidnap suspect, recover AK-47 in Delta Forest operation. Lagos cautions dispatch riders against reckless driving. FRSC moves against fake number plates, overloading, and unsafe haulage in Ogun. Court jails 14 for 2 weeks over illegal waste dumping in Ogun. A group petitions Lagos Police Commissioner demands fresh probe into Mohbad's death. All right, flipping to all the stories that we have right here inside the Guardian newspaper for today. On business, on page 20, we have AFCFTA Secretariat ITC renew partnership to accelerate intra-African trade. And well, other interesting stories on that page. Actually, on page 22 on Guardian Tech, we have how Nigerian students leverage social media for global opportunities. And flipping on to what we have right here on energy and solid minerals, how Africa's misaligned gas commercial model hurts its economies is on page 25. And this is where we take a break right about now to pay some bills. We'll be back after this one to take more stories from the Guardian newspaper.
Progress no dey happen just like that. It dey come from support when you need help.
Mommy, I got the school fees. You too much.
Na money point o.
Money point, thank you.
Customer, na transfer abi? Confirm.
Bro, na transfer o.
Na money point oga. Oh, na confirm.
Progress na peace of mind when you know say payment go land as sure banker. Progress na small win wey dey carry person go far.
No worry, yourself go make am. Mo go buy ball.
Victor, even you dey use money point?
Of course na, they use money point.
Confirm.
Money point, made for your progress.
Belon 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids.
All right, welcome back. We're still on the Guardian newspaper. Now to industry on page 26. WTO secures $295 million to support trade in developing economies. Africa-Europe bilateral trade to hit $1 trillion in 10 years. Africa-Canada to deepen economic ties. Now to news on page 27, where Odua People's Congress renews demand for state police. And yes, of course, we have on the page here, insecurity, article faults Tinubu as Obi warns of deepening moral collapse. And yes, Shetima, how my kinsman told Tinubu I wanted to kill him. Nigeria may miss 2030 open defecation targets, World Toilet Organization found out once. IGP honors 17 fallen soldiers as CDS task media on conflict-sensitive reporting. And still on that same page 30, EFCC witness admits no direct financial benefit traced to ex-AMCON boss in Arik Air trial. The prosecution accuses El-Rufai's family of media campaign, tenders wiretap evidence. Borno abduction, Zulum visits victims' families as senators seek urgent rescue. Federal government intensifies girls' education drive through $1.2 billion Agile project. Now to Guardian Sports on page 31. 2027 AFCON qualifiers, Nigeria draw Tanzania, Madagascar and Guinea-Bissau. Well, June 10 international friendly, Ronaldo Fernandes to lead Portugal against Super Eagles. And youngsters announce arrival on WTT Lagos opening day. We also have the 24th African Senior Athletics Championships fallout. Paul Benny saying funding constraints, leadership inertia responsible for poor outing. Chelsea to seek legal redress as Man City targets Maresca as Guardiola's successor. and Pet race organizers insist on May 23 registration deadline. And those are the stories that we have for you today on the newspaper review segments. Now we go for a short break, and yes, we'll return with the weather reports.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. This morning we are talking security, still talking about the unfortunate incident that happened last week Friday in Oyo State, talking of terror attack, Orire teachers, pupils abduction. To do justice to this conversation this morning, we have a security consultant, Group Captain Oladele Olasokwe, retired. Captain, it's good to have you this morning, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we go into what we have conversations this morning, I think it's just would do to note that the President, Bola Tinubu, condemned as barbaric the reported killing of one of the abducted teachers from the Esiele community in Oyo State. While the rescue operation is underway, meanwhile, fresh facts have emerged over the abduction of school pupils and the killing of 2 teachers alongside an Okada rider in Haru Esele, Orire local government area of Oyo State, as investigators uncovered how suspected informants allegedly maintained communication with the abductors through telephone conversations. The Oyo State Police Command disclosed that investigators traced the suspects through calls believed to have been exchanged with the bandits during and after the operation. According to the police, the conversations allegedly contained details on how the criminals could successfully navigate routes within the national park to hidden locations used as safe havens. The breakthrough led to the arrest of no fewer than 6 suspects who are currently in police custody and assisting security agencies with ongoing investigations into the gruesome incident. Captain, looking at all that has been unfolding, especially, this report I just read out, 6 suspects have been arrested. They've been giving them information before the operation and even after the operation, before they were eventually arrested. How would you rate, this response of security personnel to this particular incident, unfortunate incident?
Thank you, please. First of all, I am personally grieving, and I stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Oyo State in the light of this happening. Because I can't imagine children in the forest exposed to danger, mosquitoes, snakes, and all sorts of things, surrounded by wild men with planted IED, that's improvised explosive device, to blast rescuers, to shimarins. But however, just as you said, my reaction to it, firstly, is that from what I've heard and from what I've gathered on the field, I would say that it is rather too early to comment sensitively on it at the moment, being a vested officer, because some revelations will hinder the operations and the investigations. But I'm happy that at least informations have been traced to people, giving them information.
Okay, sir, before we delve a lot more deeper into this conversation, we'll take a commercial break now, and then we'll analyze what we have seen so far.
Okay.
Supramalt Multivitamin Junior. Supramalt Multivitamin Junior. Being mommy simplified.
All right, thank you very much for sticking around with us. We have the conversation right in front of us, the terror attack. That's the Orire teachers and pupils abduction. Now we have Group Captain Oladele Olasokwe, retired here with us as a security consultant, and you expressed how you feel presently about it. But then the first question that is on the lips of many have there been warnings? What were the signs that we missed over time?
Yeah, I would say that we should have been earlier sensitized about the possibility of Oyo State being hit. Because when the trend was coming from Zamfara, it got into Niger State. It got into Kwara, it got into Kogi. The trailing as it is coming downwards, one expected us to have prepared. Yes, we have prepared, but Oyo State is a very large state, one of the largest.
You said yes, we are prepared. Do you really think we were prepared?
We were prepared. You see, no security is foolproof. No security is foolproof. Even in US, there has been firing in the mosque by youths and people were killed. And you agree with me that there are many security gaps. Let me restrict myself to Oyo State. That particular area has a wide security gap. No military installation there, no heavy military installation there. And I don't think there's heavy police presence until this is happening. So they are actually vulnerable areas. It's part of vulnerable areas. But the issue is that we have to ask ourselves, how did we come to this stage? Social issues abound. There was this concept of Almajiri system in the north. Somebody will have a child, give the child to clerics. The child will be sent to be begging. Those children are the ones that have grown up to now be bandits and Boko Haram. Then you have some people. When those people became problems to them, they are now financing them to go and occupy forest. And we had a warning sign before that the people guarding the forest were shot and about 5 of them has earlier been killed while they were about to eat. Even I think I read that the Alaafin, the present Alaafin has warned of presence of people, of such shady characters. Yes, we could have been, we're supposed to have been sensitized, and in fairness to the governor, also he took due, actions and provided resources for this nature of thing not to happen. But like I told you, no security is foolproof. And those gaps in that area, people were not even, we concentrate more on the towns, big towns and cities and all sorts of things. And even the security forces, the security agencies, their presence in that region is very minimal. That is why the vulnerability of such places is high. Thank you, please.
But let's look at the response of the state governments now. We know they are really closing in on, these abductors and, of course, in rescuing the victims, especially the children who are in captivity. And also, we cannot even tell the state at which they are currently. Let's look at the response of the state governments now. So far, what would you say about the state government's response? And are we expecting a success, of course, which is what we are all hoping for very soon? How soon should we be expecting a positive response?
Their response is timely. And I will give it to them that they are doing well. Up till the day before yesterday and yesterday, I was speaking with one of them close to me. They have been holding series of meetings. And like I said, there is little I can say here because it's still early, because I don't want to jeopardize you know, I don't want to jeopardize operation and investigation.
Of course, we don't expect you to disclose classified information.
That 6 people are already arrested that were given information in contact with those people that were given information. You can imagine those guys prepared. They prepared where to harbor them. From Orire to Igbeti area, they prepared where to harbor them, and they have planned their defenses. The children are presently the people, the adoptees are being used as human shield at the moment. Somebody was telling me that they have AA gun, anti-aircraft guns. If you are using anti-aircraft guns as anti-personnel guns, that's a heavy firepower advantage on the side. But we have what to counter everything they have. But the children are there. Let me recall the issue in Thailand as regards Tamil Tigers. For well over 50 years, the insurrection was on. But the government has to take decisions that involves, you don't use artillery bombardment in this nature of operation because they are mingled with civilians. But General Ponseca was granted the leverage. Use whatever means. Let this thing end. The innocents were taken off with the operations. And the Tamil Tigers were silenced completely. We cannot do that because we have to adopt kinetic and non-kinetic. There will be expert hostage negotiators involved in this. And they are doing their work. They are still doing their work. That is why I said, we cannot say this is how far they have gone. We cannot say this is what they are doing. But I can only pray that they should be properly guided and luck to be on their side. Because it's a very dicey situation at the moment.
Okay, sir. Now, earlier on, we were talking about warnings and warning signs before. And I recall that not too long ago, I think within the last 2 months or thereabouts, we had a spate of protests around communities in Ibadan, or your states. Looking at this, I think there were some in areas around Akinyele, Ijai, I think Ido, local government area, Lagiru, all those areas had some people actually coming out to protest a spate of kidnappings, attacks on farmers and all of that. Why I'm asking this question now is this. Given that we have seen isolated events and the scale has been upped with this one in Orire, are we seeing moves being made to ensure that what caused the security gap in those areas is being worked on in other areas that are looking vulnerable right now?
Now, I cannot say those to do the work are not doing their work. I will not do their work for them. But I've been involved in this nature of operation before. In Kaduna, under Governor Mikafi. There is supposed to be 24 hours patrol, day and night.
Every area?
Every area, mobile and static. First of all, it involves serious intelligence gathering. I didn't like it when it was reported in the news that the Defense Ministry said this is an isolated incident, and I don't believe it's an isolated incident. Security issue cannot be downplayed. Let's call a spade a spade. Yes, it's about the second time it's happening in Oyo State. Because earlier in the month, people were killed in that very general Oyo Park. And we were told that they were even arrested. And I expect people to have been doing their job. But you talk about something like that. You talk about something like that.
When you see something, you say something.
You say something. So that people will be communicating. I had the phone number of fire brigade with me. I was going on and I saw something, a tanker fell and petrol spilling on it. I called them and I was glad they told me they're already aware. So it involves a lot of intelligence gathering and it involves a lot of security education on part of the security agencies and the people.
Okay, I want us to talk about security education, but before we mention it, you talked about, the IGP saying it's an isolated attack, and you disagreeing.
Not IGP.
I mean,
defense.
The defense,
yeah.
Talking about, it being an isolated attack,
yes.
and you refusing or, rejecting.
Disagreeing, yeah.
Of course, disagreeing with him on that. When we talk about, issues like this is not the first time we are seeing, and I'm talking about Nigeria, in general now. And when, people in power make such statements, is that why we are having, our security issue degenerating to this extent, when they are not taking it as serious as it should be taken?
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. First of all, it was reported that somebody in high command said those people were prodigal sons. How do you take that? People slicing people's throats are prodigal sons. People that have no regard for lives, they are prodigal sons. Then the Islamic cleric, Gumi, you say, don't touch them. They are gentlemen in the forest.
We are coming back to that, Captain. We have a commercial break, and when we return, you continue in that line of thought. Please stay with us.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
Progress no dey happen just like that. It dey come from support when you need am.
Mommy, I got the school fees. You too much.
Na money point oh.
Money point, thank you.
Customer, na transfer abi? Confirm.
Bro, na transfer.
Na money point, Oga. Oh, na confirm.
Progress na peace of mind when you know say payment go land as sure banker. Progress na small win wey dey carry person go far.
No worry, you self go make am. Mogo Bible.
Victor, even you dey use money point?
Of course now, they use money point.
Confirm.
Money point, made for your progress.
It's up to architect Bisola and builder Brian to rebuild the city.
We'll need some help. Let's get up and go!
You'll need more Cowbell Choco to complete your mission.
To get up and go, give them Cowbell Choco.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. We're still talking security. Captain, before we went on that break, we're talking about how our security has degenerated to this point.
Yes. Now I spoke about Gumi saying they are gentlemen in the forest. This and that, this and that. It was in this Nigeria that the second in command of IC was killed. And this same Gumi was shouting about, why did they kill him? This and that, this and that. Is Gumi supposed to be roaming around? In 1986-87, I wrote a security report on his father, on his late dad. And this same Gumi has a son who is an officer in the military, in the army. Will our informations be safe? Look, we condone a lot of illegalities. Before El Rufai was picked up, we all saw a video clip where he was talking. He didn't even know the sensitivity of what he was talking about. And when he's picked up, some people are saying they are arresting Northerners. Okay, when Trump released Tomahawk missiles on Lukarawa terrorists in Sokoto, there will be change of language. Trump has attacked Sokoto. President's wife visited US and he says they should be attacking Sokoto. No, they are attacking terrorists. Sokoto, we don't have a terrorist state in Nigeria, and wherever terrorists are present, we go there and finish them.
Looking at this attack that happened last week Friday, of course you would agree with me that it was not just a day job. You know, it was planned. Just as the reports we also read this morning, 6 people have been arrested in connection with this particular incident, you know, and they've been giving this terrorist information, helping them, telling them where is safe and when is not safe. Now, and this is to, you know, talk about intelligence, our intelligence. At what points were there lapses, were there gaps in intelligence gathering or information?
Yes, like I said, counter-terrorism is strongly intelligence-based. And like I said, no security is foolproof. It is where you cover, you report. I don't know who was sent to such area to cover such area. I don't even know if money released for security is given to whoever is covering that area. When I was in the service, I was spending security votes. And I was disbursing to my men, strictly because whatever work they do, I am the one taking the credit. That I as a young officer was sitting with a governor I admire, Governor Dangiwa Umar, discussing in council with him, eating biscuits with, you know, such people, was even turning my head and ready to do anything to secure the state. And I thank God everywhere was secure because, like I said, there must be 24 hours patrol, day and night, with good communications, medicals, day and night in all crannies. There is nowhere that is too large for vehicles or security patrol vehicles to go. You must have sources in every location that will be that you have even bought phone for.
So you think we are lacking in that aspect?
I don't know if they have that. I don't know really. What I say here must be gospel truth.
Gospel. Okay, so now let's look at this. We have seen one of the sad things about the whole security issues being that there's a political ploy in play. When I say that, I'm referring to statements from the likes of Sheikh Gumi. He's not the only one who has said that. There was a time we had political stakeholders in this country saying the same thing and very similar to what he has said over time. They are our brothers. We should not throw them out. We should learn to live with them. How do you tell people to learn to live with people who are terrorizing them, who are putting their lives in jeopardy? And I think this has ripple effects.
Like I said, we condone a lot of illegalities. And somehow it baffles me the comment of some northern elders. I must be specific, some northern elders who will say, okay, government should leave the people in the forest and be paying them to secure the forest. These people securing the forest, are they not the people who now came out to abduct people? What is anybody doing in the forest? Forest is for gorillas. Who put them there? Many have been arrested in the state. Many have been arrested in the east. What do we do with them? I know there's United Nations regulation as regards what you do with such people and how you do things. Human rights, this and that, this and that. This thing is, the operation to adhere to such is becoming inimical to security. The former chief of air staff came and was addressing in UI. I was there. And I told him, Oga Abubakar, you agree with me that Boko Haram don't fight conventionally? He said, yes. I said, and you agree with me that bandits don't fight conventionally? He said, yes. Why are we now being conventional? That when we capture them, we put them somewhere, treat them with sumptuous food, give them money, and say we are disorientating them. Why don't you, people killing our soldiers, how do you want the wives of soldiers that are there to feel? Oga, if you capture them, finish them immediately. Everybody laughed. He too laughed. He said, Ola, you are still the same way. He said, but I should know that we have signed some international conventions. We are party to signatory, we are signatories to international convention, Geneva Convention, and this and that have dictated guidelines of how they should be treated. Look, things should be done secretly. When you silence them, it should be done secretly. You don't make broadcasts, you don't put it in the news. We hear of what is going on in Guantanamo Bay, in Cuba, what the Americans are doing. Look, if you obey the law all the time, security dominates the law. For the law to operate, there must be a secure ground. If you say law, human rights, this and that, you are giving them leverage or space to work. Look, but that is why I said, look, things have to be done. Use your initiative. You on the ground. Use your initiative. Information has to be gathered from the people who capture. Yes, information, this and that. People must do their work. But the thing is that the legal system can be dragging and dragging and dragging. That is why there was need for military law. Military laws are not draconian. They are for members of the service to expedite action and quick dispensation of justice.
All right, Captain, there is just one question that, that is on the lips of virtually every Nigerian, on the lips of everybody. When we look at these abductions happening, often and frequently, what exactly do they want? Why school children?
Good. You see, we are in a political situation. Many have been marginalized out of powers. Election is coming. Firstly, they do it to tarnish the government. That the government cannot secure you. The government, in fact, I've had problems with many people on the Facebook, heaping every blame on this present government. And I said, it didn't start today. Like what happened in Norire, they be blaming Tinubu. Tinubu is not the police commissioner. Tinubu is not the DPO. Makinde is yet the man prevailing on Oyo State. But he won't do the police commissioner's work for him. They say, no, this is the only country where something happened and you don't blame the president. Blame the president for what? Did anybody blame Trump for what happened in the shooting in that mosque in US? They There are people, there are officers on ground to do their work. And if you are not getting the desired results, they must be relieved. What makes an officer is initiatives. So when things that are not supposed to happen are happening, take due decisions. Hold the man on ground responsible. When one or two people are sampled, others will sit up.
But when you say we should not really, blame the president, yes, I understand, and also taking a cue from other countries. But in a situation where we have realized that a particular reform or policy is also enhancing or helping these terrorists, take for instance the issue of rehabilitating these terrorists when captured back into the society. Don't you think it started during, the past late Muhammadu Buhari's administration? Don't you think this government could, say, I don't think this policy works. I don't think it even favors Nigerians. Imagine the number of lives that have been killed. Imagine the families that have been displaced. Imagine, communities that have been, communities that have been sacked. And yet you say you want to rehabilitate these same people who have caused this much havoc into the society. Don't you think at that point we should hold the federal government responsible and say these reforms should be scrapped, should be cancelled?
Thank you, madam. I watched General Buratai being interviewed, and he was asked the same question. Why should he be doing that? Integrating, reintegrating, and what he said was that it was not army policy. In this dispensation, the military take directives from the politicians. Badarau, who was formerly the defense minister, was relieved of his appointment. And there was a time, Senate chairman on security was unpacking. Because, why? They were alleged to have had links with some people. Look, the thing is that we are in a dire state in Nigeria. We are in a dire state in Nigeria. Because when people in high places are fraternizing with the undesirables, what we have, the military is bleeding.